That intro?
Please be good, please be good.
I did that for a fact, but I've already seen the movie, so I already know what I think. We make internet magic. We tell truth through lies. So Ralph Breaks the Internet is Wreck-It Ralph 2, which I'm probably gonna call this Wreck-It Ralph 2 in the course of this review. Just being a realist. In Ralph Breaks the Internet, Ralph and his friend Vanellope, they've been friends for a few years. Then Vanellope's game breaks. It's a vintage game. Where do you get a part for something like that? The land of peace and prosperity, the internet. Well, half of that was true. Anyway, prosperity? Sure. Peace? Only here, because this is a place of fun. Welcome to my sandbox. Ugh. So they have to go into the internet. Now bring on the new adventure. Bring on the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, a movie that's awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you, the first trailer for this movie that came out, I was like, all right, so Wreck-It Ralph, one of the really cool things about it was all the video game references. In this one, they just go on the internet, like the Emoji Movie. I've seen that. Full transparency. I never even saw the second trailer. I didn't care. The scenarios I saw before me were care enough to be really nervous about this movie and then be let down by it, or just don't care enough to seek out the second trailer. I did that second one. But holy crap. I really dug this movie. Maybe that's a lesson to me. Don't watch the trailers. Makes the movie better. The Ralph and Vanellope friendship, it's still here. It still works. It's actually very front and center in this story. Other than that very obvious thing, what I liked about this movie was just I really dug the humor. This movie has a brilliant way of illustrating an internetism of some sort. Just stop myself right there. I don't want to spoil the jokes in this movie because I didn't know what they were going to be. And so that was going to have the fun. It's like, oh my gosh, they're referencing this. So I'm not going to tell you specifics. I'm just saying it was really enjoyable seeing a concept of the internet shown in a three-dimensional space. Just illustrated how you would see it if you were walking down the street, and that's how that interaction went down. I love that. And that's very prominent for a lot of this movie. I thought this movie was just gonna be Disney vomiting their properties into here. I mean, it happens, of course. You saw that in the first trailer, but that Disneyland or whatever it was, well, I guess it's not Disneyland. Disneyland's like a place that we have. But whatever they call it, it's the Disney world in here, and you see a lot of Disney princesses, Disney properties like Star Wars. And I was really nervous for this movie. Like I said, the video game references, I love that. Like seeing M. Bison in a Disney movie, that's really surprising to me. I didn't think I would ever see that in the course of my entire life ever. The Stormtroopers? Yeah, I imagine. But the way this movie delivers it, they actually have fun with it. But they don't linger in the online Disney reference space for too long. It's fun to see it, reference it, jab at it, and then get out. That's a smart way to play it. That's how they played it in this movie. It's a big internet out there. You have enough things to reference. You don't have to stick around in your own indulgent pool. I mean, video game references are still in here, especially at the very beginning. You do have a few there. And the concept that they are from video games and there are video games online is in this movie. I don't want to act like video game references are not. This movie does recognize where it comes from. And while when I got out of Wreck-It Ralph, I wanted to see more of that in a Wreck-It Ralph 2, I'm not disappointed with where they took Wreck-It Ralph 2, or Ralph Breaks the Internet. Some of you might remember, some of you might have heard whispers among your parents talking about movies of a time long past before Disney was like the property Hydra. You cut one head off, two more heads grow in its place of two more properties. Each head of the Hydra is another entertainment property of some sort. Before all that nonsense, Disney were the ones that they were the tip of the spear. They were the ones delivering some really great storytelling in the form of animation. I really felt this movie took it back to that time. I mean, yeah, product placement, it's in here. But I just didn't care because I cared more about the movie. Every movie has product placement. A movie about the internet's gonna have more. Trick is to make the audience not care because they're more invested in something else. There's like an investment threshold there. If the audience doesn't care about the movie, they're gonna notice the product placement and they're gonna see it as a negative. If they're invested in the movie, the product placement is just kind of a byproduct of making movies. Funny thing about this movie, every time I felt like it was dipping or it was gonna dip, like example, there's a scene where something happens to Ralph. He sees something and he's kind of at a low. And instead of staying with that, they go over to Vanellope. And initially I was like, you should have stayed with Ralph for a little longer. But the scene with Vanellope was so good that by the end of her scene, I was like, I don't know how I would have done it differently. That was just damn entertaining. And like any good movie or any good animation I know as being good myself, is that while it's entertaining you with the laughs, while it's entertaining you with the adventure, it hits you with something real. It teaches you a lesson. And by the end of this movie, yes, it hits you with the real. It gives you that deeper message of growth for life that you're used to seeing in the good Disney animation adventures. At one point in this movie, I was like, that's really profound. I don't know. I'll let you see it yourself. And it was at that moment I was like, this is really taking it back to before Disney was the corporate monster. There is a point in the last act, like the first two acts go where it looks like the movie's wrapping up and then, hey, there's this other thing. And if a movie does that and doesn't pull it off, it feels a bit sloppier. If a movie does do it and does pull it off, it's the end Two-Face segment in The Dark Knight. It kind of felt like that, but it's still awesome in The Dark Knight and it's awesome in here. Because in the end, Ralph Breaks the Internet really spoke to me. Whether it's jabbing at the ridiculous stuff I find absurd online, or it's addressing a very relevant message about the internet and maybe a business model of YouTube possibly, I really dug this one, and by the end, it really hit me in the center. It hit hit me deep. It's a movie that pays respect to its characters and knows that the characters are us. It's like there's something in them that we see in us. So how are you gonna reach us with that? I will say Ralph Breaks the Internet is worth watching and worth buying on Blu-ray because it is awesome-tacular. I think I used that fake out in another review. Can't think of the movie. Funny thing, after I got out of this movie, I watched a couple of reviews. I haven't seen all the reviews for Ralph Breaks the Internet, but the couple that I did seek out, I was like, okay, so I like this movie like a lot more than you did. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it says about me. I don't know. But it is what it is. I loved this movie. All right, so Ralph Breaks the Internet. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.